Well, I started on a machine called the Commodore 64.
Okay.
So it was, that
Wow.
was, and I worked on games like there's a character who's, I don't know if she's that popular anymore, called Elvira. She's like this horror witch or whatever. I worked on an Elvira game, and she's still going now. But some of the more modern games, I worked on a Rocky game. I was a huge Rocky boxing fan, and I managed to actually pitch and get somebody to actually make a Rocky game. So I've worked on that. I've worked on Prey, which was, but there's been many versions of Prey. So this would have been Prey from mid 2000. I've worked on the Driver series, if you've heard of that, the original Driver and Driver San Francisco. Hitman, so Denmark's finest. I've worked on that. I've worked on Candy Crush and Pet Rescue. What else? Honestly, the mind just. Oh, BioShock is another one, and it's just been. Yeah, I worked on BioShock. The original team was in America, but I worked on the conversion from PC to console, and my speciality was converting mouse and keyboard input onto controllers, which was quite new. Getting first-person shooters onto the gamepads. Now everybody plays first-person shooters on gamepads, but when BioShock came out, I would be given input on how to make it just feel just right with the thumbsticks and so on. So. A large variety of games and still doing it now. And, but in the early days, I would be knocking out a game every 3 to 6 months,
Really?
So in the first sort of 5 or 10 years, I would have like, oh, how many games you made, Mark? 20 games. But now it's like, I'm finishing a game one every 5 years. So,
huge titles.
Yeah. So I might only have 2 or 3 titles left in me because there's only so much time. I knew I wanted to get into games. I mean, since I was like 4 or 5, just to give you an idea, since I was 4 or 5, I would be taking apart cameras, anything electrical, TVs. Now, remember, at this time, I could take it apart, but I couldn't actually put it back together again. And I had very tolerant parents.
Yeah,
so I was like, where's Mark been with that screwdriver? And now the phone's broken, and the camera doesn't work, and the TV and all. So I always had a curious mind, and I've played games, and I had little handheld things like Game and Watch in the late 70s and 80s. I had a ZX Spectrum, and I made a game with a friend. I did the art, he did the programming. This was like in the early 80s. And, all I ever wanted to do at school is get me out of school. I need to go make some games. I do love the Dark Souls series.
Really?
Yeah. Now, here's the funny thing. I first heard about Dark Souls 10 years ago or whatever, and a friend, I says, what's it like? Is it hard? And the person said, oh yeah, it's hard. And at the time I had a young daughter, and I needed like easy games. I needed games. I had too much in my life to contend with the hard games. So I didn't play it. And then when Dark Souls 3 came out, I bought it, and I couldn't get past the first boss. This is honestly the true story. The first boss, I mean, it's like 10 minutes into the game, and I couldn't beat it, and I tried. Talking about, like toxicity, that was toxicity in the own game. Yeah. I would play, and then I'd have to turn it off. And I know I'm a gamer, and I'm going to say this online. I actually took my Xbox to work to a Dark Souls expert, and we plugged it in and says, look, get me past that, will you? And then, here's the thing though, after that, the rest of it, and then I just became addicted to the Dark Souls franchise. But that's the honest truth of how I started. Yeah, and I love it. And it's just grown from then. I mean, way back in the day, if you wanted to play multiplayer, it would be on the same screen.
Like your split screen, right?
Yeah, split screen. But this is the funny thing, how it's evolved. If you can remember couch co-op and things like that, that became really unpopular 10 years ago or whatever. And now, not only is it online, but you're getting these couch co-op modes coming back where they want people to be able to sit round together and have fun and laugh at each other. So it's funny how this cycle, because that was a mode that wasn't that popular a long time ago, but it's coming back, and it's evolving all the time. But it's great to see these games where you've got 100 v 100 on the map, and it's this huge battle, and then you could have 1-on-1, or you can have groups of 4 in squads. And I think it's just finding new ways to play. I mean, everything, it's changing all the time, and I think it's just fantastic. I mean, let's face it, I think gaming is actually bigger than almost every other entertainment right now, and it's a hot place to be.